And my son said, "Oh yeah, well, how many subscribers do you have?" Probably thinking I'm going to have a couple hundred if I was lucky. And when I said, this was way back then, I said, "Well, I have 10,000 subscribers." The tone of his voice when he said 10,000, and hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. Well, today is a very exciting video for me. It is the 600,000th subscriber to the channel. Yes, 600,000 subscribers. Woohoo! Wow, that's just amazing. You know, I never would have thought years and years ago when I started on YouTube that anybody would watch. You know, I thought, well, a few people will watch. I had a pretty successful website, and so things were going well. So I thought, oh, I get an audience. But the idea that it would be huge and 600,000, never in a million years occurred to me. I can remember way back then when I first started talking to my son about, well, hey, I started a YouTube channel, and because old man's pretty proud of that. And my son said, "Oh yeah, well, how many subscribers do you have?" Probably thinking I'm going to have a couple hundred if I was lucky. That's what most people get. 1,000 would be amazing. And when I said, this was way back then, I said, "Well, I have 10,000 subscribers." The tone of his voice when he said 10,000, and I didn't know anything. I didn't know that 10,000 was a lot of subscribers. And so that was my first real introduction to that, this thing could actually grow and people might actually watch it. So I was very fortunate in that I did bring an audience with me from the website, CheapRVLiving.com. So the channel started growing. And I can remember years and years ago, I'm sure the video is still up there, 100,000, when we first hit our 100,000 subscribers. And so I can remember doing, I had a party hat on and favors and threw confetti in the air and did the whole thing. And then I think we did the exact same thing for 200,000. I don't think we did it for 300 or 400, but we did it again for 500,000. And now it's 600,000. No party favors, no confetti. Just, I'm so terribly excited about this whole thing happening. I'm just, above everything else, I am incredibly grateful to you. You're the ones that made this happen. You, the audience, people who have watched me and watched me for years. I am so grateful to you that you do watch first, of course. And I go a lot of places and I see a lot of you in person. I've met thousands of you in person. At the RTRs, I've met thousands, and I am always so grateful for each and every one of you. So the question for today is, what are we going to do with 600,000? Well, I thought I'd begin with a little bit of a story about the beginning, how the channel came about and how it grew, how I started my journey, and mainly I want to talk about what I see the future. Where are we going from here? And what is the future of cheap RV living now that we've hit this milestone? So that's what I want to talk to you about today, that idea of making your life better. That is the crux of everything I have done and I am doing and I plan to do in the future. And it all started 27 years ago when I went through my divorce. A lot of you know that story. I couldn't afford to pay for two households. I was in Anchorage, Alaska. Anchorage is a very expensive place to live. So I moved into a van. I found this old box van. You know the story. I moved into the box van, hated it first, hated it for a long time. And eventually I slowly came around. I started to like it a little bit and got everything solved, figured out how to go to the bathroom, how to cook and how to clean and do all the things we all have to figure out in when you're living on four wheels. And as I solved all those problems, I really started to not only tolerate it, but love it. And I've loved it from that moment to this. So that was an extremely low point in my life. It was a very low point, of course, financially, because I couldn't even afford to pay rent. I was really a bum on the street, except being on the street, I was in my vehicle. And even now today, most people will tell you if you're living in your vehicle, you're still a bum on the street. Just maybe a little better, probably not. You're just a bum. And so I was a bum living on the streets of Anchorage. And that's how I felt about myself. So financially, I was at an incredibly low rock bottom place in my life. Emotionally, I felt like a failure and a loser. Uh, Spiritually, I try to think of myself as a spiritual person. And it was just in every way, I was at this horrible rock bottom place in my life. But I moved into the van just out of sheer desperation. And and I started following a spiritual path, and the two combined slowly changed my life. Everything in my life improved and got better. And one of the things I've come to believe, and in the spiritual path by following every spiritual path, is that you should always be grateful. And so I am so incredibly grateful that I've received this enormous blessing of being cared for. Uh, that's what I feel like happened. I was almost saved out of a life of despair and hopelessness. And so I'm very, very grateful. And out of this sense of gratefulness, of how much I was given, my life was so low and it's been taken so high, so far better than it ever used to be, that I'm terribly grateful. But I believe that there's a step that you have to take with gratitude. And the step beyond gratitude that makes gratitude real is responsibility. I was given this enormous gift, and so I had a responsibility to share it. The gift came to me in four different areas. First, when I moved into nature and reconnected with nature, my life drastically changed. And so that's what I'm telling people. Come out and be a boondocker, come out and live in a beautiful place like this, and reconnect to nature. And another thing that started happening is I started making all these amazing new friends. I'm not a person who connects. I am not a person who builds real friendships at all. Very shallow acquaintances. That's all I had my whole life until 27 years ago. And as a nomad living in a vehicle, I have found these incredibly deep relationships. So so first I started connecting to nature. And then I really actually reached out and tore down the walls that I'd built up all my life around between me and everyone else. And actually had a connection and a relationship with other people. I reconnected. And then I found a right relationship, a pretty right, not always right relationship with money and things. Most of us, because we have no connection to nature, we don't have a really deep, real connection with the other people. We form connections with money and things, and they become our whole life. And so, when you come out here and you live in a vehicle, money and things have to take on a whole new relationship. And so I found that that's just exactly what happened. Money and things slipped aside. One thing I like to say is our country is devoted to loving things and using people. That's what our society is built on. That's the essence of capitalism. Love things, use people. I'm going to use you. I'm going to get rich and may have more things and love more money and have more money and more things and more and more and more. That's our society. That's what our economy is built on. What I found was that had to change. I had to start loving people and using things, and that people had to come first. And that when I hit record on that phone, the goal had to be to make someone else's life better. You can't keep it if you don't give it away. Remember, that's the bottom line to my whole life. You can't keep it unless you give it all away. So we started a nonprofit. I'm still living in a van. I still an ambulance, so it's bigger. It's bigger than a van. So my goal has always been to give it away, or I can't keep it. So in a sense, it's selfish. I'm not denying it. In a sense, I'm being selfish. If I don't give away this great, enormous blessing I've been given of a whole new life and a whole better way of life, then I'll lose it. And I don't want to lose it. It means everything to me. So I give it away. I hit record and I keep recording and I keep working. And so what's the future? The future is to do more of the same. I believe, now when we start talking about the future, I believe we are in for some really bad times. Now, I believe that there are hundreds of thousands, millions of people who are going to become just like I was in 1995, 27 years ago. They're going to be at their very rock bottom financially. There's going to be they don't know where the money's coming from. They are looking at staring hard at being a bum on the street. And so what are they going to do? Just like I was. And no one told me about living in a vehicle, but I knew about it. I figured it out. And so I moved in. And it was all a learning curve, and I was all alone, and I was terrified and ashamed and miserable. And I don't want that for the millions that are coming. I want them to have a way, to know a way forward, to find an economic hope for whatever their circumstances. And I also believe there's going to be a lot of real emotional bottoms. We're in for some incredibly hard times. I mean, whole towns anymore, every beginning of every new summer, the only question is how many towns are going to burn down this year and where? What state will they burn down in? And those people are all devastated, or flooding. Whose whole life is going to be wiped out in a flood? Whose whole life is going to be wiped out in a hurricane? You know, people's lives are being shaken to the very foundation all over the country. What's the next heat wave coming? How many are going to die in it? What's the next flood? What's the next hurricane? It's all, it's just the tornadoes, the new and incredible tornadoes. The future is this. I'm going to work all the harder to be there for those people in the future who need the message I've been given. Just like I had to back then in 1995, I had to fight to get into a van and find a new way to live. I want to make it easier for you and every new person to come to have an easier way out. And so that's the goal. That's the future. I don't have any really specific plans. I want to try and make better videos, be more useful to you. I hope that HOWA, Homes on Wheels Alliance, the nonprofit we started, will grow, and more donors and more will be given, because the more it's given, the more we can give away to help those people that are going to come out here with nothing. People are going to be, millions are going to be hitting the road because they have nowhere else to go with nothing. And I want to be there with at least knowledge and encouragement and hope and compassion. Personally, that's my goal through the channel. And that Homes on Wheels Alliance will be there with whatever we can do. So I hope you'll stick with me. And I hope you'll catch a vision for my vision for what I want to accomplish with this channel going forward. To be there for people in need. That's all. Be able to help as many as I can with whatever I have. And you can be a part of that if you'll watch the videos, if you'll tell your friends to watch the videos, if you'll like, if you'll subscribe, if you'll hit that thumbs up button. There's a reason I say that every week, is because it's the most valuable thing you can do for me. The more people that watch, the more YouTube will send it away to people who need it. New people start coming in and learning how to live in their vehicle. They'll see my videos. Hopefully my videos will help them, and they'll learn, and they'll find a community, and they'll find HOWA. And from the HOWA, they'll find a build where they can come and get solar installed. And they'll find a caravan where they can go and make friends and build community and build those bonds that they can build a whole new life on. Together, our lives can just get better and better and better. And I think you're absolutely the same as I am. You've been given a great gift. You've been given so much. And the only way you get to keep it is if you give it away. I believe that is true for every human being who's ever walked this planet. So I hope you'll join me. I hope you'll look forward to me at 700,000. And the sooner it comes, the more people I have told, the more people I have helped. And you are an absolute essential part of that. You get all the credit, because if you don't watch the videos, I can make them all I want and no one will see them. You get all the credit for all the success I've had. I've done my part, you're doing your part, and together we're going to change the world. So thank you all very much for the 600,000. I'm very, very grateful. Keep watching. I hope that good things are ahead for all of us. Together, we're going to make the world a better place. So if you got anything out of this video, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.